have you that as I grew up, I realized I was a pretty flirty kid, and some of you may actually relate to that. Flirty is a fabricated word I heard from one of the students' mothers that I used to teach. And what it means is you let too many things drop through the cracks too often. Flirty is not a good thing if you want to be responsible and productive. So to fight that, I literally had to rewire. I almost said un-F my head, but it's that drastic. Those of you that can relate to this, where you have your own version of entrepreneurial ADD, where you get distracted and you're a distracto machine, you know that it's sometimes very hard to manage where you focus. And where you focus is often where your time goes. So we need to be in a position where we can laser in and get the most out of our creative, innovative minds. So what you're about to see is not a flight simulation or a driving simulation. It's a focus simulation. And while you see Shannon up here going through the simulation, what you're not going to get to see is what's most important about this exercise. And that is what happens inside her mind and her heart and her gut instinct about her way of handling productivity, her way of either multitasking or trying to get more done or get the right things done in a day, something you and I have to deal with. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have her up here on the board. Over here we have Arabic numbers, and we need to do 1 through 12. We have January through December, the months, and then we're going to do A through L in the alphabet. So we have 3 categories, just like if she had 3 tasks to do. And what Shannon's going to do is she's going to take the marker. Come on in, Shannon.
Okay.
When I say go, she's going to write number 1 in the Arabic number column. Then she's going to go over and jump to the next task, which is the month column, and she's going to write January. And then she's going to jump over to the next task, and she's going to multitask, and she's going to put the letter A. Then she's going to go back to the Arabic numbers, and she's going to write the number 2, and then she's going to write February, and then she's going to write B. So she's going to be jumping from A, or from 1 to 12, January to December, A to L. And again, what's most important is she's going to stick with those rules. She's going to work in a row, and she's going to experience what is it like to be inside of her mind and her body when she's doing tasks and then she jumps to the next task. Hence we call it a simulator. And oh, by the way, we're going to be timing her. So the idea here is not to do it as fast as you can necessarily, although we're going to time her and set a baseline, is to see what happens inside herself and what she's teaching herself in her awareness as it rises as she does this, when she jumps from one task to another. So if you want to follow along, get out a piece of paper and follow along, or later you can download the handout and do this later as you rewatch this video. Okay, you ready, Shannon? Do you have questions?
I feel a little nervous.
Yeah. So just
I might need to take a deep breath.
take a few deep breaths.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me. Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, now so be aware of what happens inside your mind, your heart, and your gut as you do this.
Okay, like I'm going to tell you, my gut is like butterflies right now.
Butterflies! Shannon's got
Yes.
butterflies.
Okay, I'm
You
ready.
tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Go. She's up to B, February, 3, March. There she goes. Moving from the 1, 2, 3s, the months, and the part of the alphabet from A to L.
What? Oh, 7. I can't read my own writing.
Moving from one row to the next, one category to the next. She's down to 12, December, L. Ta-da! So 52 seconds. So let's put the time up here.
Okay.
52 seconds. That's just a baseline. The time is just an indicator of something. We're not going to tell you what yet, but just an indicator of something. It's not the real reason we're doing this. We're not doing this just for time. So Shannon, tell our audience, face the camera here, what did you experience? You obviously had butterflies, but what was it
Yeah.
like when you had to jump from one thing to another?
I found myself having to go back. I think the alphabet was the hardest. I had to sing it in my head as I was going down. But I had to really concentrate and spend my energy remembering and kind of looking ahead, like, okay, March, April, June, July, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But you got through it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so this is a simulation. Shannon is working and she's jumping through and she really had to concentrate. So you had to use a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, if you were in the room, there was a lot of energy being generated up here. There was swiftness. You could feel the brain working.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, I had work.
She was putting it into order and she was moving to the next thing. So that's what we experienced there. Go ahead and erase all your writing now. We have the time down. Now this time, the second time around, she's going to work in columns. She's literally going to take one chunk of work, the Arabic numbers 1 through 12, and she's going to do all the numbers first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way to 12. Then she's going to come over in the middle column and write January, February, all the way to December, and then she'll come to the alphabet and she'll just take the first 12 letters, A through L, and we're going to compare her time, because that's one indication, but we're also going to ask her, what did she experience differently the second time in her mind, in her heart, and in her gut? How did she experience herself in the simulator the second time around compared to the first? So, get on your mark, get set, go! She's already done with the numbers. Done with the months. Done. Woohoo!
Yeah.
32 seconds. Wow. She cut 20 seconds off that. So she was actually faster in completing her tasks if she focused on one thing at a time and got that one thing completely finished. So now, how did you feel differently doing this in terms of confidence inside your head, heart, and gut the second time around?
Well, it's funny that you say this because I watch you do this exercise with clients all the time, or I've been on webinars with you and in the background listening, but I've never really paid attention. So this isn't rehearsed, so you guys all know.
She has not been practicing.
I have no idea. I just kind of followed rules this morning too. And you know, I always used to pride myself on being a multitasker. And as I went through the second part of the exercise, I realized it was just quicker. I felt more confident in what I was doing, and I didn't have to think as hard and concentrate.
So could you be more in a flow? Is it
Totally.
fair to say you're in flow instead of really forcing your mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. It was just, it was easier to do because I wasn't interrupted going back and forth to each column. And so I was able just to get, obviously, through it quicker, but I felt more confident and more relaxed in doing it because I wasn't having to concentrate as much from column to column to column.
Right. Excellent, excellent. Those are some of the lessons that people teach themselves when they go through this experience. So a couple of things you might want to do if you're following along. One is you may want to download the handout, watch this video again, and take yourself through it so you can teach yourself the value of staying focused and staying on track with one train of thought and one task at a time. The other thing is, we didn't ask her to do a whole year's worth of months, just 1 year. So we took the bite-sized chunk and we made it into something that she could complete in her work time. We didn't do all of the numbers or all of the alphabet. We took a section of that and said, here's a beginning and here's an end. See what you can do if you just go straight through. The research tells us that it takes us 24 times longer to get back into the mind frame and back into the flow when we jump from one thing to another. So it's costing us brain power, creativity, and sometimes we lose the genius that's flowing when we're working on one thing at a time. So if you can focus on one thing at a time, it takes you 24 times longer to get back to that space if you get interrupted. So you want to focus on one thing at a time, go from first to end, whatever that is. Maybe you create this nice brick-like looking container or this chunk of work so that you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you know tomorrow you can come back here and get in a flow again. So breaking work up, also we didn't have her do 5 things. I purposely chose 3 because sometimes we can go from one thing, get it done, another thing, get it done, and another thing, get it done. And that's our day. We have 3 priorities, or we have 1 priority, or we have 2. But if you get more than that, you are going to be acing yourself out of greater productivity. So a lot of lessons to learn here. If you're interested, this module did come from our Be Focused online course. We'll have information in the thread here so you can see that. And if you have questions, please post them. Shannon, do you have anything else to tell the group about multitasking?
I'm not really good at it.
And that's the truth. We think we are, but we're really fooling ourselves. We cannot multitask. We can only fracture our attention. We can pull ourselves consistently and quickly out of flow, and we interrupt our thinking, we interrupt our system. That's why a lot of us have digestive problems. We don't follow our heart because our heart would like us to be in flow. So I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for joining us today in the Focus Simulator.